Diane Warren yawned and stretched in her chair. Another boring shift at the Galactic Empire's Deep Space Monitoring Division was almost over. For 8 years, she had watched the same sensor screens, tracking the same types of ships moving through the same trade routes. Nothing exciting ever happened at the edge of Imperial space. Her screen beeped. Diane blinked twice, making sure she wasn't seeing things. A new contact had appeared at the very edge of their sensor range. This wasn't unusual by itself. New ships entered Imperial space all the time. But this one was coming from the direction of unexplored space, a dark region the Empire had never bothered to fully map. "Computer, identify the approaching vessel," Diane said, suddenly alert. "No match found in database," the computer replied. Diane frowned. That was impossible. The Empire's ship database contained every vessel built in the last 3,000 years across all 17,000 worlds under Imperial control. Even ancient ships and museum pieces were registered. "Run the scan again," she ordered. "Scan complete. No match found in database." Diane called over her supervisor, a balding man named Frank Miller who had worked in the monitoring station for over 20 years. "Sir, I'm picking up an unknown ship entering from Grid Sector 9. Frank leaned over her console, his expression changing from annoyed to concerned as he studied the readings. "That's odd. The design looks primitive, almost like early spacefaring technology. But look at its velocity readings." He pointed at the numbers on the screen. Diane checked the velocity data and felt a chill run down her spine. That can't be right. It's accelerating beyond what should be possible for a ship of that configuration. "Keep tracking it," Frank said, his voice tight. "I'm contacting High Command." Within an hour, the monitoring station was filled with high-ranking Imperial officers. Admiral Peter Blackwood himself, commander of the Imperial Third Fleet, stood behind Diane, watching the mysterious ship's progress. "It's still accelerating," Diane reported. "Current speed now exceeds anything in our records for a vessel of that size and apparent technology level." "How is that possible?" one of the officers whispered. Admiral Blackwood's face remained stern. "Could it be a malfunction in our sensors?" "No, sir," Frank replied. "We've checked the system 3 times. The readings are accurate." Diane pulled up a visual of the ship on the main screen. It was small, perhaps capable of holding a crew of 10 at most. Its design was functional rather than elegant, with none of the sweeping curves and aesthetic touches common to Imperial vessels. Solar panels extended from its sides like wings, and a large dish antenna pointed forward. It looked almost like a relic from a museum of early space exploration. Yet it moved faster than Imperial cruisers. "Sir," Diane said, "I've analyzed its trajectory. It's heading directly toward the Centaurus arm. If it maintains course, it will reach the mining colony on Proxima II in approximately 72 hours. Admiral Blackwood turned to his communications officer. "Contact the High Council immediately. Tell them we have a first contact situation with an unknown civilization." The room fell silent. In 3,000 years of Imperial history, there had never been a truly unknown civilization. The Empire had cataloged, conquered, or made contact with every spacefaring race in the galaxy. Their records were complete. Or so they had thought. "Sir," Diane said, studying new data coming in, "the ship is still accelerating. At this rate, it will reach Proxima II in less than 48 hours. Admiral Blackwood's expression darkened. "Whatever this ship is, whoever built it, they've just changed everything we thought we knew about the galaxy." In the surveillance room, officers began making calls, sending messages, and preparing reports. The vast machinery of the Galactic Empire, which had ruled undisputed for millennia, was suddenly scrambling to respond to a single small ship that shouldn't exist, and shouldn't be able to move the way it did. And still, on Diane's screen, the mysterious vessel continued to gain speed. The Imperial High Council chamber buzzed with urgent voices. 12 of the most powerful people in the galaxy sat around a massive table made from rare black crystal. Admiral Peter Blackwood stood at attention, waiting for the council members to quiet down after his report. High Counselor Elizabeth Reed, the eldest member of the council, spoke first. In 3,000 years of imperial history, we have never encountered a ship that wasn't in our records. Are you absolutely certain about this, Admiral? Yes, Counselor. The vessel matches no known design. More concerning is its method of propulsion. It continues to accelerate beyond what should be possible for its apparent technology level. The council members exchanged worried glances. High Counselor Reed turned to a thin man with round glasses sitting at the far end of the table. Dr. Alan Hayes, what are your thoughts on this matter? Dr. Hayes, the Empire's chief scientific advisor, cleared his throat. Based on the sensor data, this ship appears to be using a form of propulsion we've never seen before. The energy readings don't match any known drive system. It's as if they've discovered a completely different path to faster-than-light travel than the one our civilization has followed. The room fell silent as the council members considered the implications. For millennia, the Empire had controlled all advanced technology in the galaxy. Their technological superiority was the foundation of their power. We need to make contact with this vessel immediately, said Counselor Reed. Admiral Blackwood, you will lead this mission. Take the Imperial flagship, Celestial Authority, and intercept this ship. We need to know who they are and where they came from. I recommend including a diplomatic team, said a woman with silver hair pulled into a tight bun. This was Olivia Nelson, the Empire's most experienced diplomat. Agreed, said Counselor Reed. Diplomat Nelson, you will accompany Admiral Blackwood. Prepare first contact protocols. Within 6 hours, the massive Imperial flagship, Celestial Authority, departed from the central Imperial world. At 15 kilometers long, it was the largest and most powerful warship ever built, capable of destroying entire planets. Admiral Blackwood hoped its impressive size would be enough to convince whoever was on the mysterious ship to cooperate. On the bridge, Diplomat Nelson reviewed the first contact procedures with her team. Remember, we know nothing about these beings. They could be peaceful explorers or advanced scouts for an invasion. We must be prepared for anything. Dr. Hayes and his scientific team had set up a temporary laboratory on the ship. They continued to study the sensor data from the unknown vessel. It's impossible, Dr. Hayes muttered as he reviewed the latest readings. The ship is still accelerating. It's now moving at speeds our ships can only achieve with our most advanced drive systems, yet its design suggests a much more primitive technology. Admiral Blackwood joined him, looking over his shoulder at the data. Could they be disguising their true technology? Possibly, Dr. Hayes replied. But why? And how did they avoid detection for so long? The Empire has mapped every star system capable of supporting intelligent life. The Celestial Authority moved through space at maximum speed, its massive engines pushing the enormous ship faster than anything its size should be able to travel. Even so, intercepting the mysterious vessel would take time. We'll reach interception point in 14 hours, reported the navigator. Admiral Blackwood nodded and turned to Diplomat Nelson. Prepare a greeting message in all known languages. We'll broadcast it when we're in range. Already done, she replied. Though if they're truly unknown to us, they may not speak any language in our database. Admiral Blackwood stared out the viewport at the stars streaking by. In his 40 years of service to the Empire, he had never faced a situation like this. The unknown ship had appeared from nowhere, using technology that shouldn't exist, heading toward the heart of Imperial space. Somewhere out there, a ship that shouldn't exist was racing toward them, and nobody in the mighty Galactic Empire knew what would happen when they finally met. Captain Lisa Carter floated through the narrow corridor of the Pathfinder, pushing herself along with gentle touches against the wall. The ship had been her home for the past 3 months, ever since they had left Earth orbit on humanity's first mission beyond the solar system. "How's our engine performance, George?" she asked as she entered the engine room. Dr. George Martinez looked up from his screens with a broad smile. His black hair floated around his head in the zero gravity, making him look like he had been electrocuted. Better than we ever dreamed, Captain. The quantum fold drive is performing at 138% of projected capacity. At this rate, we'll reach Alpha Centauri in half the time we planned. Lisa nodded, trying to hide how impressed she was. The quantum fold drive was George's invention, a completely new approach to space travel that bent the rules of physics in ways that most scientists back on Earth had claimed were impossible. Any idea why it's working so well? She asked. George shrugged. My best guess is that our theoretical models of quantum space were too conservative. Out here, in actual deep space, the effect is stronger than it was in our solar system tests. Lisa made a note on her tablet. Keep monitoring it. I don't want any surprises. Will do, Captain, George replied, already turning back to his instruments. Lisa made her way to the bridge, where her pilot, Joe Wilson, sat watching the stars. All systems normal, Captain, Joe reported. Though I'm picking up some unusual readings at the edge of our sensor range. What kind of readings? Lisa asked, floating over to his console. Not sure. Could be a sensor glitch. Looks like a massive object moving in our direction, but it's still too far away to get clear data. Lisa frowned. Keep an eye on it, and run a diagnostic on the sensors. Yes, Mom. Lisa moved to her captain's chair and strapped herself in. She opened a channel to the whole ship. Attention crew of the Pathfinder. This is Captain Carter. We're now 3 months into our mission, and everything is going better than expected. Dr. Martinez reports that the quantum fold drive is exceeding all projections. At our current speed, we should reach Alpha Centauri in approximately 6 weeks. She paused, looking at the small crew gathered on the bridge. There were 8 of them total, a tiny number to represent all of humanity on this historic journey. We should all be proud. We're the first humans to travel beyond our solar system. Whatever we find out here, we're making history. Carter out. As she closed the channel, Communications Officer Kelly Davis turned in her seat. Captain, I'm picking up a signal. It's weak, but it's definitely artificial. Lisa's heart jumped. Are you saying we're receiving a transmission? From where? Kelly's fingers moved quickly over her console. I can't pinpoint the source yet. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. The pattern suggests it's a deliberate communication, not just random noise. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this might mean. Could it be from another civilization? Asked Joe, his voice barely above a whisper. Lisa took a deep breath. Let's not jump to conclusions. Kelly, record everything and try to clean up the signal. See if you can determine its origin. Yes, Captain. Lisa looked out the viewport at the endless stars. When they had left Earth, the possibility of finding alien life had seemed remote. Their mission was exploration, mapping, and testing the quantum fold drive in deep space. No one had seriously expected to encounter another civilization. Captain, Joe called from his station. That object I mentioned. It's definitely moving toward us, and it's big, really big. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. How big? Joe looked up, his face pale. Based on preliminary readings, it's at least 15 kilometers long. Lisa stared at him in disbelief. No human vessel had ever been built larger than 500 meters. And it's on an intercept course with us, Joe added quietly. The crew of the Pathfinder looked at each other in stunned silence. Somewhere out in the darkness, something was coming for them. The massive Imperial flagship, Celestial Authority, slowed as it approached the small vessel. From the bridge, Admiral Blackwood studied the strange ship through the view screen. It was tiny compared to the Imperial vessel, looking almost like a toy against the backdrop of stars. Magnify, he ordered. The image zoomed in, showing more details of the unknown ship. It had a central cylinder with various modules attached. Solar panels extended from its sides, and a large dish antenna pointed forward. Primitive by Imperial standards, yet it moved with impossible speed. Are they responding to our hails? Admiral Blackwood asked. Diplomat Nelson shook her head. No response yet. They may not understand our communication protocols. Dr. Hayes joined them, excitement clear on his face. Admiral, we've been analyzing their propulsion system. It appears to bend space in a localized field around the ship, allowing it to move faster than our sensors initially calculated. It's brilliant, really. A completely different approach than our gravity drives. Admiral Blackwood frowned. Can we disable it if necessary? Before Dr. Hayes could answer, the communications officer called out. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the vessel. Audio only, in an unknown language. Put it through, ordered Admiral Blackwood. A female voice came through the speakers, speaking words no one on the bridge understood. Diplomat Nelson stepped forward. Let me try something. She nodded to the communications officer, who opened a channel. Unknown vessel, this is Diplomat Olivia Nelson of the Galactic Empire. We come in peace. Please stand by while our computers analyze your language. The Imperial ship's advanced AI began processing the unknown language, comparing it to the thousands of languages in its database. After several minutes, it had created a rough translation matrix. We can attempt communication now, the communications officer reported. Admiral Blackwood nodded. Proceed. On the Pathfinder, Captain Lisa Carter and her crew stared in awe at the enormous ship filling their view screen. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. A massive structure of gleaming metal that seemed to stretch on forever. It's definitely not from Earth, Lisa said quietly. The communications console beeped. Kelly Davis adjusted her headset. Captain, they're transmitting again, but... She paused, her eyes widening. It's in English now. Heavily accented, but definitely English. Put it through, Lisa ordered, her heart racing. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Peter Blackwood of the Imperial flagship, Celestial Authority. We request that you power down your engines and prepare to be brought aboard our ship. Lisa exchanged glances with her crew. This was it. First contact with an alien civilization. She took a deep breath and pressed the transmit button. This is Captain Lisa Carter of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration from the planet Earth. We mean no harm. There was a pause before the response came. Earth? That designation is not in our records. Please identify your sector of origin. Lisa looked at her navigator, who shrugged. We are from the Sol system, third planet from our sun. Another pause, longer this time. Stand by, Earth vessel. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Blackwood turned to Dr. Hayes in confusion. Sol system, third planet. Are they from some forgotten colony world? Dr. Hayes shook his head, his expression one of wonder. No, Admiral. I believe they're from a system we've never cataloged. A completely unknown civilization. Diplomat Nelson stepped forward. We should bring them aboard, as planned. This could be the most significant first contact in Imperial history. Admiral Blackwood nodded slowly. Agreed. But keep security protocols at maximum. We don't know what we're dealing with. He turned back to the communications officer. Inform the Earth vessel that we will bring them aboard using our tractor beams. Tell them not to resist. It could damage their ship. The massive Imperial ship moved closer to the tiny Pathfinder. Blue beams of energy reached out, gently enveloping the human vessel. On the Pathfinder, alarms began to sound. Captain, they've locked onto us with some kind of energy field, Joe reported, his hands moving frantically over his controls. We can't break free. Lisa gripped her chair. All crew, prepare for possible boarding. Remember your training. We represent all of humanity now. The Pathfinder was slowly pulled toward the enormous hull of the Imperial ship, its crew watching in a mixture of fear and wonder as they approached the first alien civilization humanity had ever encountered. The docking bay of the Imperial flagship was enormous. The Pathfinder looked tiny as it was gently placed on the polished floor by the tractor beams. Imperial guards in gleaming armor formed a perimeter around the Earth ship, weapons ready but not pointed directly at the vessel. Admiral Blackwood stood with Diplomat Nelson and Dr. Hayes as the airlock of the Pathfinder slowly opened. Captain Lisa Carter emerged first, followed by Dr. George Martinez and Navigator Joe Wilson. The humans looked around in awe at the massive space. "Welcome aboard the Celestial Authority," Diplomat Nelson said, stepping forward with a practiced smile. "I am Diplomat Olivia Nelson of the Galactic Empire. This is Admiral Peter Blackwood and our Chief Scientific Advisor, Dr. Alan Hayes." Lisa stood straight, aware that she represented all of humanity in this moment. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Captain Lisa Carter of Earth. This is Dr. George Martinez, creator of our quantum fold drive, and Joe Wilson, our navigator." Admiral Blackwood studied the humans with intense curiosity. They looked remarkably similar to the dominant species of the Empire, with only minor differences. It was surprising, given that they claimed to come from an unknown world. "Please, follow us," Admiral Blackwood said. "We have many questions." The humans were led to a large conference room, with a view of space through floor-to-ceiling windows. The stars looked different here, Lisa realized. None of the familiar constellations were visible. "Your ship is quite remarkable," Dr. Hayes said to George as they sat down. "Particularly your propulsion system. We've never seen anything like it." George looked surprised. "The quantum fold drive? But it's based on fairly basic principles of quantum mechanics." Dr. Hayes leaned forward, clearly fascinated. "Yet you've applied those principles in a way we've never considered. Our own faster-than-light travel uses gravity manipulation, not quantum field manipulation." While the scientists talked, Admiral Blackwood addressed Lisa directly. "Captain Carter, you claim to be from a planet called Earth in the Sol system. Yet our records, which contain every inhabited world in the galaxy, have no mention of your planet or system." Lisa exchanged glances with Joe. "We were equally surprised to encounter you, Admiral. Until today, humanity believed we were alone in the universe." Diplomat Nelson looked shocked. "Alone? But there are 17,000 civilized worlds in the Empire and hundreds of thousands of colony outposts. Earth has never been contacted by any alien civilization," Lisa explained. "We've only recently developed the technology to leave our own solar system. The Pathfinder is our first deep space vessel." Admiral Blackwood's eyes narrowed. "That's difficult to believe. The Empire has surveyed the entire galaxy. How could we have missed an entire civilization?" In another part of the Imperial ship, other members of the Pathfinder crew were being examined by Imperial doctors. Kelly Davis, the communications officer, sat nervously as a medical scanner passed over her. "Remarkable," the Imperial doctor said. "Their DNA structure is nearly identical to ours, yet with subtle variations I've never seen before." Meanwhile, Imperial engineers were carefully examining the Pathfinder itself, focusing on its engine room. "This technology shouldn't work," one engineer said, studying the quantum fold drive. "It violates several laws of physics as we understand them." "Yet it clearly does work," his colleague replied, "and more efficiently than our own drives, despite being far more primitive in construction." Back in the conference room, Dr. Hayes was becoming increasingly excited as George explained the principles behind the quantum fold drive. "It's so simple," Dr. Hayes muttered. "How did we never think of this approach?" Admiral Blackwood watched the scientists with concern. If this primitive civilization had discovered a more efficient method of faster-than-light travel, what other surprises might they hold? And more importantly, how had Earth remained hidden from Imperial surveys for thousands of years? "Captain Carter," he said, interrupting the technical discussion, "I believe the High Council will want to meet with you, and I think they'll be very interested in visiting this Earth of yours." Lisa nodded slowly, aware that the future of human-alien relations now rested partly on her shoulders. "We would be honored to establish diplomatic relations with your empire, Admiral, and to learn more about the galaxy we've only just begun to explore." 1 month later, the Imperial diplomatic vessel Starlight Envoy entered Earth's solar system. On the bridge, diplomat Olivia Nelson and Dr. Alan Hayes watched as the blue planet came into view on the main screen. "It's beautiful," Olivia said quietly. Dr. Hayes nodded, his eyes fixed on the sensor readings, and completely unaltered by Imperial terraforming. "This is truly a natural evolution of a life-bearing world." Captain Lisa Carter stood beside them, proud to show her home to these visitors from the stars. The Pathfinder had returned to Earth 3 weeks earlier, bringing news that had shocked the world. Humanity was not alone in the universe. "We're receiving transmission from Earth's United Space Command," the Imperial Communications Officer reported. "This is Earth Space Command. Welcome to the Sol System, Imperial vessel. You are cleared to approach Earth orbit following the path we've transmitted." Lisa smiled at the awe in the voice of the Earth officer. Just a month ago, humans had believed they were alone in the universe. Now an alien ship was approaching Earth. "We'll follow your guidance," Olivia replied, then turned to Lisa. "Your people have handled this remarkably well. Many civilizations panic when they first encounter the Empire." Lisa shrugged. "Humans have been imagining meeting aliens for hundreds of years. We've had plenty of time to prepare, even if we didn't know it." As the Imperial ship entered Earth orbit, Dr. Hayes continued to study his readings with growing excitement. "This is fascinating," he said. "Your planet shows evidence of multiple major extinction events, yet life has rebounded each time with greater diversity, and your species evolved despite numerous climate shifts and natural disasters." "Humans are good at surviving," Lisa said simply. The ship landed at a specially prepared site near the United Nations headquarters in New York. Earth's leaders waited nervously as the Imperial delegation disembarked. Despite weeks of preparation, nothing could truly ready humanity for this moment. Inside the United Nations General Assembly Hall, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to meet the Imperial delegation. Diplomat Nelson addressed them first, explaining the structure and history of the Galactic Empire. Many people looked shocked when she mentioned that the Empire had ruled for over 3,000 years. "We do not understand how your world remained undiscovered for so long," Olivia explained. "It seems there was a blind spot in our surveys of this region of space." Dr. George Martinez was called to speak next. He explained how the quantum fold drive worked, using simple terms that both humans and Imperials could understand. "The principle is basic," he said. "Instead of pushing against space, we folded around our ship, creating a bubble of altered physics." Dr. Hayes watched with growing respect. This human scientist had discovered an entirely new approach to faster-than-light travel, with far fewer resources than the Empire had ever devoted to the problem. After the formal presentations, Earth's leaders met privately with the Imperial delegation. "We would like to offer Earth conditional membership in the Galactic Empire," Diplomat Nelson said. "You would gain access to Imperial technology, education, and protection." The Earth representatives exchanged glances. "And what would the Empire gain?" asked the President of the United Nations Security Council. "Your fresh perspective," Dr. Hayes said before Diplomat Nelson could answer. "Your quantum fold drive is just one example. Humans approach problems differently than we do. After thousands of years of established thinking, the Empire could benefit from new ideas." Outside the United Nations, crowds gathered to catch a glimpse of the visitors from space. News channels around the world broadcast continuous coverage of the historic event. "The discovery of the quantum fold drive put humanity on the galactic map," one reporter said. "But it's our creativity and problem-solving that has impressed the Empire the most." In a lab at MIT, a team of human and Imperial scientists worked together, combining their different approaches to physics. The human lead scientist pointed at a simulation on a screen. "If we merge our quantum fold principles with your gravity manipulation technology, we could create a hybrid drive that's more efficient than either one alone," she explained. The Imperial scientist nodded slowly, his eyes wide with the implications. "This could revolutionize travel throughout the galaxy." Earth's first day as a known world in the galactic community was coming to an end, and already Humanity was proving its value. The Imperial High Council chamber was silent as Grand Marshal Helen Whitney paced back and forth. Her military uniform was decorated with medals from countless campaigns, and her face showed the hard lines of someone used to making difficult decisions. "This human situation has gone too far," she said finally. "In just 3 months since first contact, they've gained access to far too much Imperial technology." High Counselor Elizabeth Reed watched the military leader with calm eyes. The technology exchange was approved by this council, Grand Marshal. Both sides are benefiting. Helen stopped pacing and placed her hands on the black crystal table. "Are we? Their scientists are absorbing our knowledge at an alarming rate, while we struggle to understand their quantum fold principles. And have you seen the military applications they're already developing?" On a screen at the end of the room, images appeared showing new Earth ships under construction. Though small compared to Imperial vessels, they incorporated elements of both human and Imperial technology. Admiral Blackwood, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "The humans have a different approach to military matters, it's true. Their history is filled with warfare between their own factions. It has made them innovative in ways we haven't been for centuries." Dr. Hayes nodded enthusiastically. "That's precisely why they're valuable. The Empire has been stable for so long that we've stopped looking for new approaches. The humans question everything, try new combinations we would never consider." Grand Marshal Whitney's eyes narrowed. "And that's exactly what concerns me. A species with a history of constant warfare now has access to Imperial technology. We should control their expansion now, while we still easily can." In a laboratory on Earth, Dr. George Martinez worked alongside Imperial scientists to develop the next generation of the quantum fold drive. Holographic displays showed complex equations floating in the air around them. "The problem is that you're still thinking of space as something solid," George explained to his Imperial colleagues. "Think of it more like fabric that can be folded." One of the Imperial scientists, a woman named Laura, shook her head in wonder. "But this contradicts 3,000 years of Imperial physics." George smiled. "Sometimes you need an outsider's perspective to see past established thinking." In another part of the lab, Captain Lisa Carter met with Admiral Blackwood, who had returned to Earth as the Empire's military liaison. "Your people are adapting our technology faster than expected," the Admiral said, watching human engineers working on a new engine design. Lisa nodded. "Humans have always been good at learning and improving on ideas. It's how we survived on Earth." Admiral Blackwood looked troubled. "Some in the Empire find that concerning. Grand Marshal Whitney has suggested limiting technology sharing until Earth is more fully integrated into Imperial culture and control systems." Lisa's expression hardened slightly. "Earth agreed to join the Empire as a partner, not a subject world. We're willing to learn your ways, but we won't abandon our own approaches or independence." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, information about the quantum fold drive was spreading through underground scientific networks. On remote worlds, scientists and engineers began experimenting with the principles, creating their own versions of the technology that had previously been controlled exclusively by the Empire. On the Imperial capital world, Dr. Hayes presented his latest findings to a select committee. "The humans' approach to physics isn't just different. It's complementary to our own. By combining both perspectives, we're making breakthroughs that would have taken centuries otherwise." A council member leaned forward. "And what of Grand Marshal Whitney's concerns about human military development?" Dr. Hayes sighed. "The humans are developing defensive capabilities, yes, but their greatest contribution isn't weaponry. It's their problem-solving approach. They try solutions that we would dismiss as impossible." In orbit around Earth, the first joint human Imperial vessel prepared for its maiden voyage. Named New Horizon, it was smaller than traditional Imperial ships, but incorporated the best of both civilizations' technologies. Captain Lisa Carter had been chosen to command this historic ship, with an Imperial officer as her second-in-command. "Ready for the first test of the hybrid drive?" she asked her mixed human and Imperial crew. As they nodded, Lisa couldn't help but smile. 3 months ago, humanity had believed they were alone in the universe. Now they were about to test a ship that could change the course of galactic history. Engaging hybrid drive in 3, 2, 1. 6 months after first contact, the Imperial High Council gathered for their most important vote in centuries. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from across the galaxy, including a small delegation from Earth. High Counselor Elizabeth Reed stood to address the assembly. Today we vote on the formal status of Earth within the Galactic Empire. The recommendation before us grants Earth special status as an innovation center, with greater independence than standard member worlds. Grand Marshal Helen Whitney frowned from her seat. She had argued against this special treatment, but found herself increasingly outnumbered as more Imperial officials worked with humans and witnessed their unique abilities firsthand. "The vote will commence," announced Counselor Reed. One by one, council members pressed buttons on their consoles. The large display at the front of the chamber showed the count. 9 votes for, 3 votes against. Earth would receive its special status. Captain Lisa Carter, sitting with the Earth delegation, let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. This vote ensured that humanity could maintain its independence while still benefiting from Imperial knowledge and protection. Admiral Blackwood approached her after the session ended. "Congratulations, Captain. You've achieved something remarkable for your people." Lisa nodded. "Thank you for your support, Admiral. I think both Earth and the Empire will benefit from this arrangement." The Admiral's expression became serious. "You should know that not everyone is pleased. Grand Marshal Whitney still believes humans are advancing too quickly without proper Imperial oversight." "We've shown nothing but goodwill," Lisa replied firmly. Admiral Blackwood smiled slightly. "I know. That's why I supported your case. But be careful. The Empire has been the unchallenged power in the galaxy for a very long time. Change doesn't come easily to us." On Earth, the integration of Imperial technology had transformed human society. Cities now featured buildings that seemed to defy gravity. Medical centers used Imperial techniques to cure diseases that had once been fatal. Universities around the world offered courses in Imperial science, history, and culture. Dr. George Martinez had become something of a global celebrity. His quantum fold drive had put humanity on the galactic map, and his continued innovations made him respected even among Imperial scientists. "The beauty of the human approach," he explained to a group of students, "is that we don't accept limitations. When Imperial scientists say something is impossible, we ask why not, and try anyway." Far from Earth, on distant worlds throughout the galaxy, the ripple effects of humanity's introduction to galactic society were being felt. Underground research groups studied the principles of quantum fold technology. Smaller civilizations that had long been subservient to the Empire began quietly developing their own versions of the human innovation. On a remote Imperial outpost, Dr. Hayes met secretly with a small group of Imperial scientists who shared his excitement about human ideas. "The Empire has maintained technological control for too long," he told them. "The human approach to innovation could benefit all civilizations, not just Earth and the Imperial core worlds." "What are you suggesting?" one of the scientists asked nervously. "I'm suggesting we ensure that knowledge flows freely," Dr. Hayes replied. "The Empire has prospered through stability, but true growth comes from change and adaptation." Back on the Imperial capital, Grand Marshal Whitney reviewed reports of unusual activity across the Empire. Small ships using modified versions of quantum fold technology were appearing in increasing numbers. Imperial citizens were asking questions about why certain technologies had been restricted for so long. "This is exactly what I warned about," she told her advisors. "The humans have destabilized the established order in just 6 months." One advisor looked thoughtful. "Perhaps the order needed some destabilizing, Marshal. The Empire has been unchanged for millennia. Maybe this human influence will make us stronger in the long run." On the bridge of the New Horizon, Captain Lisa Carter prepared for their third mission, exploring previously unmapped regions of the galaxy. Her crew, a mix of humans and Imperials, worked together with an efficiency that would have seemed impossible months earlier. "Captain, new orders from Earth Command," her communications officer reported. "We're to proceed to the Orion Nebula. Imperial scientists believe there may be habitable worlds there that were missed in previous surveys." Lisa nodded and took her place in the captain's chair. "Prepare the hybrid drive. Let's see what else we can discover out there." As the ship moved smoothly into faster-than-light travel, Lisa reflected on how much had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had been alone, taking its first tentative steps beyond the solar system. Now they were partners with an ancient galactic civilization, changing it even as they learned from it. And it had all started with a single small ship that wasn't in any records and was gaining speed.